In this video, I'll explain how HeartSync works. It's a unique Christian-based inner healing model that works with the Holy Spirit and neuroscience. Back in 2010, Bishop Andrew founded this method after thousands of HeartSyncs and research in the area. It's based upon healing the brokenhearted, enabling us to love the Lord our God with our whole hearts. The mission of HeartSync is based upon the mission of Jesus when he declared at the onset of his ministry to bind up the brokenhearted and proclaim freedom to captives, all because this is the time of God's favor. And that harkens back to the Old Testament prophecies from Ezekiel and Jeremiah, where God promised to give us an undivided heart, putting a new spirit in us, a spirit of singleness of heart and action, that we may love the Lord our God with all our heart and all of our mind. And that fulfills Jesus' greatest commandment that he gave us. And HeartSync does this intentionally by synchronizing these various parts of the heart and mind, bringing them into full relationship with God. That's going to take neuroscience to explain what's going on. We have to imagine, how do we think? What's going on in our heart and brain and feelings as we make decisions throughout life? Well, first of all, we know that we have a left and a right side of the brain. Many of us know that it's the left side that does all the analyzing, verbalizing, explaining. And so we'll call that the function side, that does all the hard work of what we think a brain is supposed to do. But we also have the right side that is all about our feelings. We feel and process emotions. That's part of how we live. We feel how we are doing. We feel what is going on, and we feel when we relate to others. But also with that, on the right side, we have on the upper prefrontal orbital cortex, on the right side, is the place where we feel who we are. We feel what our values are. And therefore, we call that our true self part of the brain. And we also have on the right side, at the subconscious level, the area of the heart that leaps into action whenever there is something scary happening. It protects us by causing us to immediately flee, fight, or freeze. We call that the guardian. So all these various parts of the hearts are always, and the mind is always working together. We normally think of them as simply our heart. It's how we feel. But they actually have these three distinct parts. And what happens when we get hurt? An overwhelming emotional trauma can hurt our hearts in the emotion part, where we feel there is something scary going on. And when that happens, our guardian leaps into action to protect us. It'll cause us to shut down or fight or whatever the appropriate response is. And then what happens after that? If that does not settle down, if we do not feel well and we think it's still a scary situation, a little bit of that emotion part that's holding that pain gets split off and is held in a subconscious part of the heart, where it continues to live but hidden from our function part of their brains, which means we're not even aware that it's still there. Our function doesn't recognize it. And that's desynchronization, when parts of the heart are no longer in communication. And these pockets of pain remain alive and still continue to operate in our brains. And because these parts are isolated and hidden, they can easily be taken captive by those cosmic spirits, those wicked spirits in heavenly places. And that's exactly what Paul was talking about when we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against these rulers and cosmic forces in high places that will wreck our relationship with God. But as we are seated in heavenly places with Christ, we are able to join Jesus coming before the throne of grace and saying to any cosmic spirit, "The Lord rebuke you." And those spirits must back off. And then we can do the release of pain and trauma, praying for the fulfillment of what Jesus came to bear our pain and suffering. And because he was pierced for our transgressions and the transgressions against us and crushed for our iniquity, then that pain and that iniquity can be released. And Jesus bears that pain. We instead receive his love and light and healing power in place of that. And so the emotion part returns from isolation, is healed, and the heart and mind get synchronized again, fully healed up. And that's how HeartSync works, to bring restoration to one's heart and mind. A synchronized heart loves God with all her heart, soul, mind, and strength. Thanks for watching, and you can find out more at this web address.